What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel for a second video, a second outing of the day, and this is all about hashtag villains. And a massive thank you to everybody that came out for that particular stream. If you don't know, I live stream Marvel Contest of Champions on my second channel, link is in the description, and we came together with a list of champions that are hashtag villain related and ranked them in top 10, with 10 obviously being not worse but less useful than others, with one obviously being the most useful. So if you weren't around for that live stream, and obviously make sure to come around to my live streams, that would be very kind if you can, then it's important to have your say. And if you disagree with any of this stuff, then put it down in the comment section down below. Do you have a better top 10 with the ranking of certain champions? But let's just get into this, shall we? Now for this video, I'm going to do a little bit of an explanation and show footage over the top. Kicking things off with Sentinel. This is a double immunity champion, XL champion, handy for variant 2, as well as slight utilization for variant 3. And also the fact that there's so many decent things about this champion, from heal blocks, shocks with the heavy attack, and as well you've got the heal blocks, and you've got a little bit of regeneration off using the SP3. If you do it once and do it again, you've got a little bit of regeneration. Good villain overall, handy for biohazard. At number 9, we've got Mephisto, a really fun champion. This one is used for different content because he's poison immune, and also that he's got a real kind of decent way with soul imprisonment that he can really kind of suppress buff generation, and that's something that is really good, especially going up against certain nodes in 6.1.5. so I really recommend that for the poison and the route where you got Red Hulk and he gets that massive regen. Not to mention the fact he does incinerates, he's got regeneration, persistent charges, decent power gain. Yeah, really fun champion, kind of underrated nowadays. Next up is Venom The Duck. Man, I love this champion. Persistent charges, getting those buffs, putting them into the RNA bank, and then unloading them either at the start of any given fight or then doing the SP3 and generating them. Yeah, this guy is amazing, and it is fun as well to put in an SP2, do some toxic armor, bit of degen here or there. Great damage output, great persistent champion, and is really good for the offensive side of things. At number 7, we got Killmonger. Killmonger is becoming more of an underrated champion, but is actually loved by a lot of people for the champion's interaction in defensive properties, not to mention the fact it's decent bleeds, you got True Strike, you got Unstoppable, but mainly you got a fighting force that's able to be an amazing defender and also a good enough offensive champion. Next up, and you got Mojo, a really fun offensive champion with degen being so darn sweet on this guy, not to mention the fact his damage output is relatively good, especially with those persistent charges, all the followers and the way subscribers work. Now, I don't have this champion, I really want to get it in the future. At number 5, we got Venom. Venom was a difficult champion in order to place because a lot of people within the live stream, within the community, were like, they want to put him up further. But the fact is, number 5, leaving the last 4 champions, they're going to be so important. So Venom, because of the buff generation, because of the ferocity, because of the extent of damage output you can get in a fight from the recent buff, and yes, we're going to be talking about some honorable mentions that have missed the list so far. But yeah, let's face it, with the synergies, with the champion as itself, without the synergies, it's still a complete powerhouse, generating all manner of different buffs, whether or not you're even putting debuffs of bleed on, and as well smashing through a powerful SP2 to convert all buffs into one little stack. I'd say a relatively brilliant stack of whatever buffs you had on at the time into a big load of fury, which, let's face it, you're going to see some amazing damage output from this guy, and he's so fun as well. At number 4, you've got Void. Now, this is a champion that I do as a 5-star, but I wanted to play about with a 4-star, especially because I wanted to see about the attack rating increase and improvements as per the signature ability and being able to damage output more strongly. So that's another thing, because a lot of the times this champion is really good for his petrifies, with his dark stings, with his weaknesses, degeneration, all manner of different types of debuff effects, which, let's face it, are going to suppress things like regeneration, power gain from enemies. A real fun champion utilized for things like variant 1 Ultron boss fights, not to mention a whole plethora of different fights with these very specific debuffs. You know, you've got other champions that get petrify as well, but I do love this guy for those kind of situations. Now here we have Omega Red. Omega Red is number 3 on our list, and what I love about this character and also this champion is that if you want to do an SP1, you can lifesteal. If you do an SP3, you can suppress power gain. So do all or nothing, this guy could be utilized for it. You got a Hyperion against you, then obviously this guy is going to be really helpful. Yes, you can damage output fairly well, especially if you kind of capitalize on building those death spores. And obviously you can do a method of doing an SP2, heavy attack, building the degen, building the death spores, increasing the amount of damage. And if I remember rightly, I will put on top of here, like doing 30 death spores and kind of doing a good amount of damage. I've got a 4-star version. I'd love to have a 5-star version. I'd love to have the 6-star version. One of my subscribers, Storm Chaser, if he is listening or watching, has I think a 200 sig 6-star, and it's like, that's incredible. So I don't know if he plans to rank 2. I think he ranked 2. I don't know if he's going to rank 3 it, but you know, it is a great champion, and I would love to in the future be able to get a 5-star version or even a 6. Also, look out for synergies which are going to make him really darn powerful. Like, imagine having Void Mephisto, Red Hulk. You know, you could even have Sabretooth and Colossus in a team, which is, I think, would be a pretty powerful team that will cover all bases. And yeah, this guy is going to be really fun for you. At number 2 is Ghost. This is a fantastic champion and one that I think will be a real asset for any roster. Now, depending if you really like this champion or not, or just, you know, just have it there, then you'll know the awesome power of going into a phase. Once you go into a phase or start phasing, the fact is you're able to not take any damage. Say, you know, a champion's thrown a special attack at you, you've gone into a phase very quickly. It just basically means you're going to take no damage. Not to mention the fact if you've got a debuff effect on you, you swipe back, you go into a phase, and then you transfer that into a passive fury effect, which, let's face it, is going to be able to damage output a huge amount, go into an SP2, or even a case if you've got the synergy together with Delightful Wasp, then it's going to be unblockable, so you don't really have to worry about the champion being in a block because you're going to smash through it. An amazing champion, amazing damage output, and yeah, also as well, go into a heavy attack, charge up heavy attack, and you get a nice little fury buff. So yeah, go for it. Also, time for some honourable mentions. Unfortunately, they didn't make the list, but they're still as powerful, and that is Doc Ock, Annihilus, Carnage, Dormammu, and really small Morningstar for some reason. Oh, she's size large. Could have fooled me. All those honourable mention champions were really good in their own right. I personally really like Dormammu, and as well, I don't think anybody should sleep on Morningstar, because as we know, she can be used really effectively with persistent charges, and as well, there are the others. But this one champion, last champion, ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of players for different reasons. Whether or not you got things like power control from it, that's really easy to do, unblockable specials, which are actually built into the abilities of the champion, not a case you have to add a synergy to it, and as well different aspects of damage output, gathering buffs, and the fact is that, you know, there's just amazing damage output and as well amazing utility. Oh, and shock immunity as well. And yeah, you've guessed it, Doctor Doom is the #1 pick, and obviously for all those reasons that I've explained and more, he is a fantastic champion for anybody's roster. The prestige is high as well, which makes an added bonus, and not to mention as well, or not to forget, the fact that he does the shock, and then you're able to do the Doom Slap, which, let's face it, for me personally, I've utilized this champion so effectively against Icarus in Act 6.2. It is absolutely amazing. This champion has propelled me through a lot of content in a very short space of time based on his effectiveness. That obviously goes hand in hand with things like being able to nullify buffs and as well stagger, so you're able to suppress any buffs coming up as well on the enemy. And I just think that this is one of the best villains out there. And I really hope that Kabam don't touch this for the rebalance, because it's still a case that this champion, even though is fairly fresh to the game, should avoid it based on, obviously, you know, you have to put in work to make the champion damage output well. And I do absolutely love him and think he's so effective, and I think that other people in the community would agree with that, and especially for those that were in the live stream and voted this champion as one of the top villains, hashtag villains that is, you can see why. I don't think it breaks into a top 10 of the best champions in game, but it might do. That is something maybe for another idea for another day in another video. And yeah, thank you very much to everybody that came out to that live stream and helped create this video. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these in the future where we do like top 10 rankings, top 20 rankings, but get your input rather than it just being about me telling you what I think it is. So that's going to be quite good as well, and we'll be able to kind of bounce off opinions. So make sure to come out to the live streams on the second channel. Link is in the description down below. And if you disagreed with any of the placements of this list, please feel free to put your suggestions down in the comment section as to like, maybe you kind of say like, well, I disagree with this one at point number this, or it's a case I would have done the top 10 differently. Some of the ones from the honorable mentions should then go on to the main list as well. Have your say in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching this video. Check out today's Marvel Contest of Champions news, which was quite spicy. Go and give it some support. I need it, please. And also check out some supporting links that are down here as well. Appreciate you. Have a lovely weekend, whatever you're doing. I think I've got a couple of videos out, and as well the podcast on Sunday, which does mean that I won't be able to do the boss rush on time, but we'll see what happens with that one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye for now.